The third pearl. What is love? You will know love when you realize what love is not. You can't fully understand yourself until you're able to identify yourself as life, as energy's eternal force. How does that awareness help you? It puts all your efforts into perspective. It makes knowledge your servant, not your master. It makes your virtual reality a playful work of art, not a prison. It changes the voice of me, making it possible to transcend the main character. Me doesn't need to be defeated or replaced. Through you it can evolve. The evolution of me is a choice. You decide how you feel about yourself from moment to moment. By shifting your attention just a little, you've been getting an idea of what you're not. You've asked what is real and begun the process of doubting what you think you know. This process goes on, deepens, and will lead to greater discoveries. But the truth is simple. Truth is life. It is not a system of beliefs. Truth is infinite and everlasting, but your body and your dream are not. Truth is energy, power. Truth is the reality of you. We can also say that truth is love. What most of us call love is the opposite of love. Our problems exist because we are taught to love with conditions. It is not just our personal problem, it is also humanity's problem. No matter the culture, we are taught to corrupt love. We are taught to distrust the only real thing there is, life's infinite force. Rules and conditions have defined the way we love. As we've seen, people build their governments with self-made laws and penalties. We take our laws seriously and we're strict about their execution. None of this is right or wrong. It's a fact. Domestication has shaped our behaviors. We were judged and disciplined as children, and as adults we learn to judge and discipline ourselves. We punish ourselves and we pardon ourselves. But what exactly is our crime? The biggest crimes are the ones we commit against our own body. If you were the kind of tyrant who insults your body, it's likely you'll treat other bodies with disrespect. If you're inclined to hurt yourself physically, you'll probably feel okay about hurting others. Either way, your body will pay the price. Hurting other people comes back to us in one way or another. Judging or abusing people will lead to punishments even we can't regulate. We will be treated in the same way that we treat other humans. If society judges us and finds us guilty, we're punished. And again, the body suffers. Whatever our abuse is, the human body pays. When we berate ourselves, the body pays an emotional price. And we do berate ourselves, of course. Most of us at one time or another have watched people marching down a city sidewalk, muttering to themselves. We've seen people so possessed by anger that they're yelling and screaming at no one. Are we so different? We frequently yell and scream at ourselves, but silently. We walk down the street complaining to ourselves, reviewing old conversations and making up new ones. Our lips are moving and our faces show the strain. We could be on the phone, but aren't we just using someone else as an excuse to rant? When the voice in our head becomes unbearable to us, it shouts out for the world to hear. The thing is, no one really wants to hear it, and no one wants to witness the battles being waged inside of us. A phone to our ear may make us appear less crazy, and it may help us to feel less alone. But we don't need the phone or the friend. If we feel miserable at times, it's probably because we're believing something that's not true. We're hearing our own voice scolding us. When it does, we're children again, afraid and bewildered. We're teenagers again, knowing for sure we'll be grounded. We're drunk drivers, about to be pulled over and fined. The voice is ours, however it sounds, and we can stop it. The voice of me has been running the show for so long we hardly notice. Once we do notice, we can save ourselves. We can regain a little sanity. At any time we can politely end the conversation we're having with ourselves. Just as we do when we're on the phone, we can say we have to go. I gotta run, honey. All my love. Bye-bye. We can do this any time, while driving on the street or even while trying to go to sleep at night. Ciao, gotta go. And we hang up on ourselves. Nothing improves by continuing the conversation. An appetite for poison will lead to more poison. No problem is ever solved by rebuking ourselves or blaming someone else. We have to put an end to our own bullying. The conversations we have with ourselves aren't real, but they create real emotions in us and real turmoil in our lives. Emotions aren't the problem. Our thoughts are. Emotions tell us the truth about what's going on inside of us. When we feel anger, our pulse quickens, our breathing becomes erratic, and our muscles tense. Our thoughts trigger unpleasant feelings and our bodies pay the price. So, what if we paid attention to these signs and learned from them? We can see emotions as clues about what we are telling ourselves. They tell us when we're beating ourselves up and we need to improve the message. They tell us when we're on a dangerous mental track. They'll usually tell us when we're at the wrong party. Emotions remind us that we're not loving ourselves, and they let us know when we've traveled too far from the truth. The truth may not be something we can put into words, but if we're sober enough to pay attention, we can feel its resonance. We can feel it as love. Take away our words, our preoccupations and obsessive thoughts, and love is all that's left. What is love? Love is life's energy, creating more life all the time and in infinite ways. Most of us were taught to think of love as one kind of emotion, one among many others. We think that it has a beginning and an end, as emotions usually do. Emotion is the energy that our bodies create, and love is the sum of all emotions. Love is energy, and therefore it has no beginning or end. Energy has no agenda. Neither does love. It has no limits or conditions. Like all energy, love can be transformed, but never destroyed. Unconditional love can seem intimidating at first. You may want to run from it. You may doubt its sincerity. You may wonder how it comes so naturally to children, but not to you. You may want to blame love for your pain and your self-rejection, but love is never to blame. What makes things painful and complicated are the terms and conditions we put on love. No one wants to hear, "I love you if." I love you if you can be like me and think like me. I love you if you feel my pain. These words sound funny, but for most people it's the underlying romantic message. The word "if" denies the truth of love. "If you loved me, you'd suffer the way I'm suffering," is too often what we mean to say to a loved one. "If you really cared, you'd make sacrifices for me," is implied in different ways. "If you truly loved me, you'd prove it. You'd tell your friends, you'd put me first, you'd..." Those words may never be spoken, but they tend to hide behind other words. They echo the voice of the main character. Love doesn't require sacrifice. We are generous in love because we want to be, and we need nothing in return. It's exhilarating to be alive. It's a privilege to feel the power of love. Like life, love is its own justification. And like life, like truth, it doesn't need proof in order to exist. Conditions make love something it isn't, but that's the way we were shown how to love. Conditional love has become part of how we govern ourselves. It forces us to judge people and to demean ourselves. Like any crime, it hurts the body first. It leaves us feeling alone and unwanted, which leads to injuries we're at a loss to fix. Real love starts with us. It's never too late to rediscover the power of it in ourselves. It's never too late to ask the question, what is love? And open all our senses to the answer. Real love has nothing to do with vanity or self-importance. Self-love isn't egotism. The ego is me, wanting attention and adulation. Love is the energy that runs through us and all around us. When we share love, we're sharing our life force. When we give ourselves love, we're acknowledging what we really are. When we nurture affection and respect for our human body, the seeds of love begin to grow. We're loving ourselves when we give the body the benefit of every doubt. We're respecting ourselves when we treat the mind like our creation, because it is. If we monitor our thoughts, we can better understand the mind's language. We can become respectful diplomats, softening our words and encouraging the best friend we'll ever have. We can be patient and attentive for the sake of a great love affair. Your body is the love of your life. The relationship you have with your body affects all relationships. Loving yourself without conditions can heal the biggest divisions in your world. It can reconnect you to the force of energy that made your world possible. The love of your life. Your physical body is, and always has been, your true love. There is not, nor will there ever be, a more loyal friend or a more intimate partner. What you think, it will feel. What you command, it will do its best to obey. If you do something to harm your body, including obsessive thinking, it will do everything it can to repair itself. Your body works hard to stay healthy and to make your world easier to tolerate. Out of gratitude for its remarkable generosity, you may want to be generous as well. You can love your body no matter what. You can put it first in almost every situation. Listening to the needs of your human body may take some practice, but attention is what it needs most. The mind may want things, but it doesn't need things. Does your body need to feel important? Does it need to gossip? Not at all. The mind is hungry for stories. When we binge on food, we're not making the body happy, we're giving comfort to an agitated mind. The body doesn't need regular sedation, but we routinely try to shut the mind off with alcohol and drugs. We avoid self-reflection by judging others. We deny love, and our bodies suffer. Loving our bodies unconditionally is natural to us, as we can see from observing small children. Babies and toddlers love without shame or restraint. Over time, children learn to think, to imitate adult behavior and to put limits on love. They forget to love fearlessly. Most distressingly, they forget to love themselves. It may be hard to remember, but we all arrived on Earth as babies and loved everything about the body we occupied. We loved everything we saw and sensed. As we grew into active children, our bodies took us on a joyride of physical wonders and sensory experiences. We thrived in this paradise, and then, it seems, we were banished from it. We were told many stories as we grew up, and we believed them all. A few stories suggested there was something sinful, even ugly, about our bodies. Many stories caused us shame. We learned to blame the body for life's disappointments. It's not my fault, the mind learned to say. I'm only human. But the mind isn't the human body. It's made of virtual stuff. It governs the body in whatever way it's allowed to. How many of us were taught to love our bodies? Health trends come and go, but listening to your body is a different skill. Where is your attention when you eat, when you exercise, when you're preparing to sleep? Most of the time it's on past regrets and future worries. You're arguing with people who aren't there. You're anxious about things that aren't happening. Your physical body, like a child or lover, needs your attention in order to thrive. It needs a one-on-one conversation now and then. It needs to hear some gratitude for all that it does. I'm so fat! Doesn't provide comfort at all, particularly when the words are spoken with loathing. I look just like Mum. Sends confusing signals, but eventually your body registers the pain of disappointment. We aren't always thrilled with the way we look, but our bodies aren't at fault. Our bodies glow when they feel love. They're energized when they feel the truth expressed in action and words. They perform well when we feed them well. They strut when we dress them up. They breathe and bounce when we let them take us for a stroll, a bike ride, or a swim. That's the way we would normally describe a pet, and most of us are far more concerned about the health and happiness of our pets than our own bodies. We're activists when it comes to giving our dogs nutritious food or runs in the doggy park. For some reason, we can't commit to loving our own bodies in the same way. The human body serves us in ways we can't imagine. It compensates for our offenses and keeps on going. It overlooks our crimes. It heals itself, often before we even know we're sick. Emotions are important. They maintain the health and metabolism of the body in much the same way that weather patterns balance the planet's metabolism. But the body, doing countless jobs to sustain our health, can be overwhelmed by the drama. It has to support so much indignation, outrage, and fear, and to rise to our highest joys. It has to support our convictions and superstitions, and it has to support our absurd theories about love. Unconditional love is love. Everything else is a distortion of love. Love is not one emotion, but the totality of every emotion. It is the force of life, and how can we put conditions on that? The body is our home on earth. It gives us all it can give, and we can do the same. Maybe we never learned how to love our physical selves, but it's not too late. We may adore our cats and goldfish more than we love the human body we inhabit, but by getting to know that body, we may find ourselves falling in love again. So it may be time to look at yourself with the eyes of a lover. Lovers and sweethearts. Romantic love is considered a different kind of love. But is it? Your sweetheart's body is your wonderland, right? True love sees only beauty and perfection, and a dedicated lover would go to any length to express that love. If the one you loved wanted you near, you'd be quick to respond. If you knew you were missed, you'd call or make the time to be there physically, or at least you'd give reassurances. If your true love was feeling neglected, you'd offer a hug or plan a date night. You'd apologize for being distracted or for only thinking of yourself. Well, your body misses you most of the time. It misses the truth. And yes, you're distracted. You're thinking of your reputation and your social status. You're thinking of the last conversation or the next one. You make the minimal effort for your body and often punish it beyond its limits. Is exercise a gesture of love or a punishment? What about dieting? If your body isn't feeling your judgment, it's feeling your indifference. Where are the pats and squeezes? Where are the flowers and the love letters? Self-love is romantic love. When we care deeply for someone, every gesture is an act of love. When we love without condition, there's no impulse to accuse or to resent. Our love doesn't diminish because of judgments made against us. Our love is the very essence of who we are. It is our life force. Why would we neglect our bodies then? Let your body experience all the beauty and wonder around you. When you are embracing life fully and appreciating your body for all that it lets you feel, then you are cherishing your closest friend and intimate. Everyone feels good around people who have genuine love for themselves. It feels heartening, even inspiring to be in their company. It feels safe. It would be wonderful if people had those same feelings when they were around us. But it's not likely to happen if we don't feel comfortable with ourselves. Once again, we can't give what we don't have. If we have no money to spare, we can't share our wealth. We can't inspire courage if we're always afraid. So it makes sense that loving others is difficult if we don't love ourselves. Like any love affair, self-love needs nurturing. How do we assure the body that it's loved? We give it the company it needs, of course, not just from other humans, but from our story's main character. Me needs to get involved in a caring way. Me needs to say a kind word now and then. In time, little gestures of appreciation become automatic. In time, we'll wake up every day whispering words of encouragement. We'll see ourselves in a mirror and say something nice. Like any pet or child, the body yearns for tender sounds and intimate assurances. It loves shameless gestures of affection. There are things you can do for your body, beginning today. You can write love letters to yourself and read them out loud. Devote some time to conversations between the mind and the body. Listen and reassure. Offer the pat, the squeeze, and the hug now and then. Place a hand on your cheek and wrap the other hand around your shoulder. Hold yourself for a while. Do you feel better? Of course. Hugs are wonderful, whatever you may have told yourself. This may be the first time since childhood that you acknowledged your body's fundamental need to be touched and appreciated by you. Be good company for your body. Take an afternoon nap or have a quiet lunch out alone. Go to the movies together. Commune with life by taking a walk in a forest or on a beach. Take a quiet moment to watch the nighttime sky. Give it lots of music. Your mind will appreciate the lyrics and your body will sway to the beat, the melody, the reverberations of life. The body's most important relationship is with life, not with your nagging thoughts. Your body is the perfect merging of matter and energy. Your body is the most real thing you know. You can do better at loving, beginning with the one you literally cannot live without. Say, "I love you," to your body. Say it often and say it loud. Say it because it's true. Say it when you start your day. As you settle into bed at night, place your hand on your head and say how much you love your brain and everything connected to the brain. I love my brain, my ears, my eyes, my nose. Move your hand down to the mouth, the neck, the chest, the shoulders. Name every part of your body as you go, and give thanks to the parts you can't name. Go all the way down to the feet, to the toes. This ritual doesn't take very long, but its effects are powerful. All of this may feel odd at first, but expressing love is what humans crave. We want to feel it pouring out of us, but we've convinced ourselves that no one wants to receive it. Our bodies definitely do. Everyone's body does, even if their system of government denies it. We love because love is the energetic force of us. Saying, "I love you," brings us back to the truth. Sex with another human being is also an act of self-love, giving your body what it needs and enjoys. When we make physical love, the voice in our head goes silent and our stories are forgotten. Me is irrelevant for a time. Loving ourselves causes the same energetic reaction. Unconditional love for ourselves is a definition of paradise. We began there, remember? The love of your life is not your spouse, your lover, or your child. It's your physical body, your wonderland. Loving your human body makes it possible, even easy, to love all humans the way you were meant to. Loving requires listening and careful response. Before you go on an angry tirade, consider how it will affect your nervous system. Stop for a moment. Breathe. Step back from the situation and listen to how you're communicating with yourself. Your words are the body's command. Are you making accusations? Are you taking yourself too seriously? If everything is about me, then every event will seem personal. Every comment will need a defensive response. Are you willing to do that to your body? For certain, you can use your energies more productively. You can love without worrying about getting something out of it. Your body will be so grateful. You'll be surprised to find that loving comes naturally. You may discover that you're very generous and that your generosity inspires gratitude in everyone who knows you. Gratitude inspires generosity, which inspires more gratitude. This perfectly describes love in action. Gratitude and generosity create the ideal relationship between your mind and body. Kindness and affection stimulate your whole system. A little praise brings great emotional reward. Why not let it come from the one telling the story? Don't let your thoughts hide from you, growing in darkness until they're too strong to control. When you don't have to defend your opinions, you're free to be authentic. You're free to say no without penalty. You're free to say yes without regret. You're free to love without limits. You're free to surrender to life, to love. It's not the physical body that surrenders, it's the mind giving up its stories. The surrendered mind softens its own laws, or throws them out altogether. It allows love to rule with no interference. In fact, everything changes when the main character respects and reveres the body. When we love ourselves completely, we return to the place we only knew in infancy. We remember that love has no conditions and needs no justifications. We remember the sensation of paradise and desire only that. Paradise is home, and it's never too late for us to go back. Love for humanity. The way back to self-love begins when the mind breaks its own spell. Our beliefs act like a fortress, defending us from new insights, but beliefs are made of mist and fog. When there is nothing left to defend, truth is all there is. All the great messengers have recognized this. Their wisdom was evident in their authenticity. Throughout the ages, the most authentic humans have left the brightest legacies. Wise men and women distinguish themselves by challenging what they know. At some point, they decide to take a deeper look at reality, questioning the world they've created in their minds. They dare to see what is, not what they were taught to see. They refrain from telling old stories and confirming common beliefs. They refuse to let memory dictate reality. They remove the blinders and start a journey toward awareness. Searching for truth is everyone's birthright and often starts with doubt. I thought I knew myself, but now I'm not sure. What should I believe? Why should I believe anything? Doubt begins a process of exploration as we take another look at the things we were taught to accept as true. I used to have a theory about life. Was any of it real? Doubt can dismantle a belief structure if we're willing to let it. Why should we do that? Because we want to clear away the nonsense and see the truth. Doubt gives us a chance to look around, observe the crazy party and decide how we want to play within it. It gives us a chance to revise the main character whose voice still lingers in our heads, a voice that may not have changed since childhood. You've grown up. You're not a frightened child anymore. You want to be mature emotionally and spiritually. You want to be authentic, because acting the part of the main character has made you weary. Doubt reveals your lies. It discredits your stories until you're ready to cast them aside and put complete faith in the truth around you. The solution to all conflict is respect. Respect means the end to war, to abuses, and to the kind of crimes you routinely commit against yourself. Respect brings peace into your world. Self-respect will eventually rewrite the laws that hurt your body. It will transform your Congress and your Constitution. The old style of leadership will change for the good of your country. There will be no more confused intentions because words, your best ambassadors, will deliver a clear message. They will offer comfort to your advisories as well as to your friends. Respect means you honor the right of every country or body to exist, beginning with your own. If other nations can't respect you in turn, they are welcome to find other allies. You won't interfere with their governments, and they needn't interfere with yours. Respect sounds like a simple solution, but most of us haven't made it a practice. Our defenses are in overdrive. It takes deliberate acts of self-love to overturn our own habits. It takes an internal revolution to rise above our own knowledge. The Earth is a result of billions of years of evolution. The world's governments are the result of thousands of years of evolution. Your little government is barely as old as you are, but your words and actions may well have an influence on future generations. Consider that when you wonder who you are and how you'd like to affect your world. The president of your little regime can make life a prison or a paradise. Every passing moment gives you a chance to decide on the style of your leadership. Whom you vote for, the dictator or the enlightened decision maker, makes all the difference. Me is never the same, because our impression of reality keeps changing. This means me can be as flexible as reality itself. Me can be president of an all-inclusive reality, not just the parts that are comfortable and familiar. The main character can rescue the body or rule it recklessly. It can be taught to doubt automatic assumptions and resist the temptation to repeat them. With practice, self-importance begins to seem unnatural. Self-pity loses its appeal, and we stop taking things so personally. Right now you're reading or hearing these words read aloud. This means you're converting spoken symbols into mental imagery. The words have no life of their own until you read or hear them. They're dead things until imagination brings them to life. Once you imagine something, it's alive in a virtual landscape. You read, listen, and create a world to exist in. Now these words and their meanings can be applied to your actions. If you choose, you can make ideas come to life in a world of people and places. This is how you built your personal reality in the first place. You watched, learned, and let desire drive you. You built real things out of ideas. You used the powers of attention, memory, and imagination to become a unique human in the human dream. Like setting up an avatar in a video game, we choose the character we want to be. We dress it up and arm it with weapons for strategies for survival. Through the centuries, we've used books, plays, and movies to enjoy realities that we're not able to play out in our own lives. Today's video technology makes it possible to interact with characters we create, as well as those created by people we may never meet. What we may not realize is that we've been doing this for ourselves all along, without books, without technology. In life, it takes years to build the character you know as me. No one is born with an intellectual sense of self. As babies, we just are. We see, we sense, and we respond in whatever ways we can. As we learn to use words and give them meaning, we begin to describe ourselves. Of course, we get a lot of assistance. The people around us, already adept at explaining things, are eager to tell us who we are. They describe us according to their judgments, their hopes, and how they see themselves in us. So, little by little, we begin to imagine me. We all know how kids like to play with the idea of themselves. A small child can spend an entire day as a dog, barking and begging for treats. Children become knights and princesses in their imaginations, creating environments to go along with those roles. They build fortresses and treetop castles. They imagine entire kingdoms and rule them confidently. We all remember playing with imaginary friends, but the imaginary friend who follows us everywhere and always is me. As a community, humanity tells classic stories of heroes and gods. In the story we tell about ourselves, each of us is the hero. the fallen hero or the savior. We are victors or persecuted victims according to our stories. We seem self-reliant or helpless depending on how much attention we crave. Our hairstyles and outfits change with the times, but beliefs and behaviors eventually settle in to stay, until we choose to wake up, to truly look at ourselves and to change what doesn't work. Our habitual behavior doesn't work when it pushes away the people we love. A belief doesn't work if it makes us feel bad. An ideology doesn't work if it leads to obsession, fear, or cynicism. We've been using the power of imagination to define ourselves throughout our lives. We can use that power again in order to be the best possible person within the context of any dream. It's important to see where we are now and how we got here. Think about the transformative events in your life. They may not be the ones that family photos have documented. They might have happened when you were alone. They might have happened without your notice. You had a thought. You imagined the world differently for a second, and everything changed. Change is frequently the result of subtle realizations. You read a book or you see a movie. Something changes your viewpoint or awakens your curiosity. You listen in on another conversation and it causes you to reflect on your life. You hear a song whose lyrics go straight to your heart, and nothing is the same afterward. Incidents like these might have changed the course of your life. They might have nudged you in a new direction or given you direction when you had none. Maybe you followed expectations or walked a path that was already laid out for you. However events unfolded, they brought you to this point, this moment. Life is teaching us all the time. We are all apprentices in that sense, and we can create any kind of discipline for ourselves. We can set aside a few minutes every day to remind ourselves of the truth. To breathe calmly, listen to our internal voices, and dismiss them. Our thoughts document this day's events, yesterday's events, and idly speculate about future events. They're not telling us anything new, or anything that's true. The stories that we tell about this life are fiction. Me is the protagonist in this work of fiction. When me believes its worst stories, fear and paranoia rule the human body. Then it seems that a demon has been unleashed. All stories about spiritual warriors have tried to illustrate this. The final confrontation with me is the key element in sacred stories. The story of the Buddha illustrates this beautifully. Denouncing me as an illusion is the act of a spiritual master. The story of Jesus meeting me in the desert is a classic lesson in awareness. Your creation may not seem like a devil or a saint, but to make it aware of itself takes conscious effort. All traditions tell the same story, each with its own symbols and characters. The mind's world is built upon a bedrock of symbols, and it's important to distinguish the ways every symbol explains what is real. It's important to see how every human mind uses imagination to create its own version of reality. Actually, every mind creates a version of unreality. Every mind creates its own virtual world. It can also recreate it. It can scan its own database of stories, looking for malicious information, and self-correct. It can end the strategy of isolating the human body, alienating it, and then controlling it however it wishes. Judgments and criticisms can go. Gossip and speculation can go. Suspicions and prejudices, all of our excuses to hate, can go. Representative governments need a system of checks and balances. Our personal knowledge, for all it inspires, should be challenged. Our irrational fears should be faced and resolved. No belief should be allowed to induce shame. In spite of the laws we instituted, we need to be free to love without condition. Fear and knowledge. One of the biggest barriers to love is fear. Of course, fear is natural to every organism. It's meant to alert us to danger and preserve our physical lives. Irrational fear, on the other hand, is different. It's the fear of something that doesn't exist. Children can't tell the difference between real and irrational fear, and it's fair to say the rest of us can't either. We have a scary thought and the body reacts, sensing real danger. We detect fear in other people and catch the virus. We observe their reactions and mimic their hysteria. We panic. What we know clearly has the power to do us harm. As children, we didn't question what we knew. We could name the things that scared us: thunder, darkness, hairy spiders. We knew there were creatures in the basement without names. We knew those creatures were real because we were terrified of them, and we knew we were terrified because those creatures were real. Even now we know when we are afraid, and we know why. Knowing encourages more fear, and fear confirms what we know. This sounds like an endless cycle, doesn't it? So we must challenge our knowledge, and we have to face fear sooner or later. The longer we wait, the bigger the fear gets. Facing fear brings clarity. Clarity, in turn, reduces fear, allowing us to turn off our bedroom light without worrying about demons in the shadows or ogres under the bed. What is real? Not our irrational fears and not the stories we have so long believed about ourselves and our relationship with life. Admitting what is not real takes us a long way toward personal awareness. We know that beliefs adapt to new circumstances. They change and fade away. The more we accept a belief as a choice, the less power our fears have over us. With less fear, our confidence strengthens, and with more confidence, the better we get at challenging our beliefs. We see what they are, and we know instinctively they're not real. We can discard them if we want. We also know when we've stopped being afraid. We know when we're happy and when we feel safe. So what we know, in that sense, can also save us. First, we need to accept that we're afraid. Fear often runs under the radar, and only our actions give us a clue. Challenging fear means finding its source and then looking deeper. This means excuses aren't acceptable. Well, my mum used to say, doesn't justify the beliefs that follow us into adulthood. I've been like this ever since my accident. Doesn't explain why we're still afraid and unhappy. I've been told I'm high-strung. Usually means we've made peace with our anxieties. We hold on to fear for many reasons. We hold on to old beliefs because they've become comfortable. Change is inconvenient and brings too many surprises. We want things to stay the same. We want our phobias to define us. In many cases, we don't know who we'd be without our fears. It could also be that we just never got around to telling them goodbye. If we're ready to change, there are things we can do. We can be a lot more honest with ourselves, for one. We can confess our attachment to fear, or to the beliefs that cause us fear. It often helps to listen to other people talk through their fears. Offering someone else comfort is helpful too. We used to do this intuitively as children, taking a friend's hand on a dark road or comforting a puppy through a thunderstorm. We can still help a child check for goblins under the bed. We can look under our own bed. We may have been imagining the worst only to discover that the worst isn't so bad. We can face our own fear for the sake of a friend. Friends can face goblins together. They can grow and become stronger by giving each other confidence. Fear, left unchallenged, controls our lives and leads our actions. We often say we're afraid of other people, a partner, a boss, a stranger. In most cases, we're afraid of our own reactions. We're afraid of how me might react to any given situation. We're afraid of what we'll do next, to disappoint, confuse, or betray ourselves. Whatever the reason, we're afraid. And it must be somebody's fault. When we blame events, people, or God for our problems, we're playing the role of the victim. Like those primitive hunters on moonless night, we're helpless to save ourselves. Anger doesn't make us more capable. Self-pity wins us no admiration. When we separate ourselves from the problem, we get farther away from a solution. The fact is, we are the problem. We are the confusion through no fault of our own. And we are also the only solution. To wake up and see is the gift we give ourselves. To do something about what we see is our salvation. Awareness is life's gift to mortals. Hercules might have prayed to Zeus for gifts of power, but only he, Hercules, could decide how to use his power wisely. No matter what we do in life, we are all explorers seeking truth. We listen for truth in classic stories and common conversations. We evolve as individuals when we challenge ourselves to see. Humanity evolves when we challenge what we know. People once believed that the sun revolved around this planet. We were certain that if we travelled far enough, we'd drop off the earth. We knew what we feared, and we feared what we knew. The mind builds its house out of illusions, bright ones and dreary ones, from the time we start to think and talk. Everything goes along smoothly until expectations are crushed. Everything seems great until our desires conflict with other people's desires. Everything is fine until our unshakable reality is shaken, and then panic sets in. Rigid beliefs will break soon enough. When a virtual earthquake happens, the body trembles and emotions burst to the surface. We all know this because we've lived through it many times. We say we've been disappointed in love or betrayed by a friend, and we've reacted. We've acted out. Thinking they're helping, loved ones support our worst stories. They confirm our worst fears. They too become outraged and suggest we seek some kind of revenge. And we listen to them. The more we commit to the story, the harder it is to see it clearly. The less we see, the more afraid we are. The more afraid we are, the more we cling to our stories. Knowledge and fear work hand in hand. As we become more irrational, the body suffers even more. Old ideas and bad habits will continue to hurt us if we're unable to give ourselves some grace. A heartbreak can last a lifetime if we don't recognize the gift it brings. If a lover disappoints or rejects us, we feel heartbroken. If we have to leave a beloved school, we're heartbroken. If a belief is disproved or our image of someone destroyed, we're heartbroken. But it's not the heart that breaks. What breaks is the mind's absolute certainty. What gets threatened is the main character, so sure of me. When the virtual reality receives a blow, the body responds in shock. The thing people call heartbreak is a result of a head-on collision with truth. This is a perfect opportunity for real awareness. It didn't turn out the way I'd imagined, we might say to ourselves. She's not the person I thought she was. He's not the man I married. These are often said with sadness and grief, but they are important revelations. In them, we hear the doubt in me. Its reality has been challenged. This is when the mind has a chance to face itself and see its own illusions. Love doesn't hurt us. Love isn't to blame for our pain. And love is never an excuse to suffer. Nobody is to blame, whatever the drama. We're being given a chance to see what actually is, rather than what we wanted to imagine. This is a good thing, but the typical response to disappointment is to become spiteful. We pity ourselves and want everyone else to pity us. This hurts the body and puts more distance between what is real and what we imagine to be real. In other words, we're lying to ourselves again. We get disappointed when others can't live up to our fantasies of them. Friends fail to meet our expectations and we feel cheated. Lovers can't measure up to our standards and we feel rejected. People aren't what we think they are, but is it ever their fault? We wanted to imagine them our way, no matter what the evidence said to the contrary. Instead of feeling self-pity, we can feel gratitude for the chance to awaken. Instead of focusing on what wasn't there, we can begin to focus on what is. We all learned to get attention by telling a good story. Attention is what we all enjoy, and telling a dramatic story is a great way to get it. We've learned just what parts to tell a particular audience. We've made them laugh. We've made them cry. We're accomplished at drawing other people into our life's drama because we believe it. We identify ourselves through our stories, and when a story is challenged, we feel threatened. If this isn't true, what else about me isn't true? We wonder. If I'm not me, then who am I? If one thing is false, then nothing can be true. The body hears those messages and feels anxious. Who's driving this machine? It could justifiably wonder. And where are we going? People come from different cultures, but we all have one thing in common. We direct precious energy into being who we say we are. We get distracted and wander from the truth. We let fear control us. We dodge questions and give alibis. That isn't spiritual maturity or maturity of any kind. But, like the children we once were, we can face our fear. We can walk through existence in a way we never thought we could. We can grow up. We can change the rules we live by because we created those rules. We can see life in its totality, not through the eyes of a predictable character. We can change the rules we live by because we created those rules. We can see life in its totality, not through the eyes of one predictable character. Anyone can learn to see, explore, and discover what's real. Like hungry tourists in a foreign country, any of us can acquire a taste for exotic things. In other words, the mind can develop a taste for truth. Does it want to? As long as we believe we're accurately representing the truth, why should we crave a different taste? Why can't we just be drunk and stay that way? Well, think about that for a second. Drunks of any kind don't really like themselves, and they don't see much to like about life. They lie to the people close to them and they deceive themselves. Drunks are what we've been, and now we want something else. Most drunks would probably rather be sober. They'd rather see clearly, breathe fresh air, and feel the sun on their faces. They'd rather feel the touch of truth and not just speculate about it. They want to be the best humans they can be. But how can they do that? Peace in our time. There's a reason these pearls of wisdom follow important questions. Questions are invitations. They are preludes to action. They offer a chance to break through fears and barriers of accepted knowledge. Sometimes we hear an idea that's strange to our ears, but it still resonates as truth. We get excited and we want more. We listen closer or read further. We rearrange our thinking to include that perspective. A new theory sets us on a philosophical adventure, and like any adventure, it has its scary elements. If we take this ride, we'll almost certainly end up in a different place. Our view of the world will be transformed and we'll learn things about ourselves we didn't know before. Yes, it sounds scary, but also exhilarating. Most of us love to explore new worlds. We love it until we feel we're losing me. Some of us reach a point in our spiritual excursions when we don't recognize ourselves anymore. That's usually when we get scared and end the whole adventure. We give up. We get a little tipsy and return to the party. If we're willing to keep going, that's when the real adventure begins. That's when life starts to play with us, talking to us and calling us into our dreams. If we're willing to keep going, that's when the real adventure begins. That's when life starts to play with us, talking to us and calling to us in our dreams. New information starts coming in from everywhere. We read things, we hear things, and respond to things differently. We look at everything with fresh eyes. The words on that billboard we pass every day start to sound wise. Mindless television commercials reveal secret knowledge. Conversations overheard at restaurants seem to deliver profound messages. Suddenly, we're decoding life's riddles, one at a time. As any scientist will testify, searching for answers brings unexpected revelations. Curiosity opens unseen doors and offers surprising points of view. We go to sleep with a question and wake up with a new point of view. It's not that the information we get is new, really, only that we're suddenly allowing ourselves to receive it. Life is the bearer of information by way of words, images, or a hit song on the radio. It speaks the truth to us continuously, tirelessly, mostly without words. Unwilling to master our own attention, we miss a lot. When we're fixated on one thing, we're blind to everything else. When we welcome a different idea, however reluctantly, reality begins to shift. Our imaginations ignite and we get a glimpse of the truth. We can imagine eternity, infinity, and immortality. We can sense the magnitude of love's force. We're often transported when imagining God. But if we open our eyes, we see God here in front of us. We see life radiating from everything. We witness love in action everywhere. We feel energy. We sense the eternal and infinite power of us moving through all matter. Humanity's greatest art is to dream consciously, using language the way a master artist uses brushes and paints. We are the artist of our dream, and we are the central point of focus in whatever landscape we choose to imagine. We were meant to wake up and see what's all around us. We were designed to change and to evolve. Our physical bodies never stop changing. Energy never stays the same. Still, we attempt to define ourselves the same way through the years of our lives. Would we really rather not wake up? We all know what it feels like to wake up, since we do it every morning. Eyes still closed, we hear sounds and we decipher their meaning. We listen and feel our bodies stir. We sense energy in and around us in so many different ways. Taking a conscious breath, we move, stretch, and feel the wonder of being human. Then we open our eyes. Remember the first time? It's easy to imagine opening our eyes for the first time. We did this as newborns, and we've done it over and over again throughout our lives. Every time we wake from a night's sleep, from a nap, every time we jolt ourselves back from a daydream, we have the chance to see for the first time. Close your eyes, and the world disappears. Open them again, and everything you see is a miracle. Everything you hear is an intimate vibration of energy, a greeting from life. Awake and aware, we can see the world as it is and respond to it authentically. Isn't that easier than having to recall the role you're playing every minute of every day? When our eyes open, the brain starts to register images and the mind comes to rapid conclusions. It begins to tell a story. All this happens because light has entered our eyes. All we ever really see is light, in fact. All anyone ever sees is light, touching objects and bouncing off objects. The rest is a story. The rest is a spell cast by a gifted magician. It takes a dedicated sorcerer to break that self-made spell. It takes someone willing to wake up, to open the senses, and to see. Everyone is driven by an ongoing dream, and everyone has the power to steer that dream in a new direction. Everyone has a chance to alter the message. Angel is another word for messenger. The way we react to people and occurrences makes us the angels we are. We may feel like reluctant angels, disgraced angels, or recovering angels, but we're learning to deliver the message of life through our words and actions. With each revelation, we're becoming more aware of life's message. We're learning to see a broader picture of the world. We're enriching our relationship with all things. Peace means freedom from disturbance. On a global scale, it means there is no war between nations. It means different cultures get along, their traditions are respected and their beliefs tolerated. Peace means that one government doesn't seek to overthrow or impose its principles on another. Peace means the same thing to you, to me, and to everyone. It means an end to the chaos in our minds. It means we've ended our war over ideas, a war that causes us confusion and unrest. We don't want to impose our principles on anyone else or to disrespect other people's beliefs and traditions. The peace we create in our time, in our universe, has a lasting influence. It ensures our own sense of well-being, and it affects the safety and well-being of the world around us. You may be dissatisfied with your life or frustrated with the way things are going right now. You may feel as though you have no control over anything, not your friends, your children, or your reality. Maybe you wonder what makes other people do what they do. Maybe you've realized that you don't know everything, and you can't know everything. I don't know is a game changer. When you give up having to know or needing to be right, you feel lighter right away. Surrender your stories. The mind is not the boss of anything, and it doesn't want to be. Let life take over from here. Life is energy, truth, intent. No image you have of yourself can match the real energy and power of you. Words, no matter how sincerely spoken, can't express the truth. You are energy living inside a human being. You are truth, wrapped up in a fanciful story. At its core, this is the story of an awakening mind. Like most of us, you can only see yourself one way until you use the power of attention to see much more. You believe one reflection until you learn to see yourself in everything. Trust completely in the truth and you will feel all of your lies fade away. Most of us trust nature. We feel comfortable in nature even in a city park. We enjoy the uninhibited company of animals and the serenity of trees. This might seem strange, considering that nature can harm us. Nature can turn violent. It can ravage a forest or bring down a mountain. Animals soil our carpets and bite our relatives. They are both unpredictable and in many ways unreliable. What's so comforting about that? What is there to trust? What we trust is authenticity. Animals and trees don't hide behind a story. Life rules the oceans and mountain ranges. Our thoughts don't. We're reluctant to see ourselves as part of nature. Instead, we see ourselves as nature's rivals. We see ourselves as tourists within a natural landscape. As tourists, we wonder and we marvel. We admire the intelligence of trees and the sensitivity of raindrops. We feel that the sea and the sky know something we don't, and that nature has a secret power that we lack. There is only life, and its countless points of view. It's a disservice to life, to truth, to think we are separate from it. It's self-defeating to deny life's power and magic in ourselves. Whether we're listening to it or not, our internal chatter adds to the stress our bodies are feeling. It affects our moods. It alters the way we deal with other people, and it makes us struggle just to get through the day. So much is going on in our minds that we can hardly make decisions or have clear conversations. Unable to contain the inner story, we talk about our problems, needs, and frustrations. We voice our opinions too loudly. We pull everyone's attention toward me. What we think we know consumes us. What other people know infects us. Our focus is on the news, on speculations, but not on the truth. Our bodies get hooked on drama, which only makes us hungrier for more drama, more gossip, and conspiracies. Inwardly, we're punishing ourselves for our misdeeds and blaming ourselves for our misfortunes. We carry memories everywhere we go, even if their weight is unbearable. Our eyes are on the past, and our imaginations fly to the future. This makes us impervious to the present moment. So we forget to be kind. We forget to say hello to a stranger or listen to a friend. We forget to be good to ourselves. All this can be turned around. We can afford to give love generously because love is the truth of us. It has no limits. Love is the energy of us. It costs us nothing to respect ourselves without looking for justifications. It costs us nothing to respect everyone we meet because all matter was created from the same mystery. All humans were born innocent of crimes. All of us survived to this point, bending to unspoken laws and withstanding the noise of our own thoughts. Out of pure potential, we were conceived and created. We survived all the ordeals of childhood and the pressures of the human dream. And we're here now, wondering and wanting, because we know there are things we can still learn. We sense there's a better way to be human. We were blessed with a brain and a nervous system that allow us to receive information directly from life. We are able to create a virtual world instant by instant. It's not fixed, it's fluid. Our reality can be reshaped. The human body will respond to new agreements. Our emotions don't have to respond to clumsy leadership. Our thoughts can be tempered. Every one of us is able to reflect the truth through our words and actions. And that, let's face it, is an amazing superpower. afterward. For all his work, the boy in our story went home without coins in his pocket. But that's not why he made such a heroic effort to help an old man with his wagon. He did it for love. He did it because love was the truth of who he was. His every word was a messenger of love from his own little country to an unfamiliar one. He would return home all the better for having built a bridge between two human beings. As his life unfolded, he would face challenges. He might learn to wage unnecessary wars in his head. He might be expected to join the party of drunks and impose his beliefs on other minds. He might never face his fears or question his own knowledge. His true nature might become corrupted, causing him to fall out of love with himself. He might also wake up. He might, if he remembered the words of an old man, find his way back to paradise. He might remember to love unconditionally as one who truly loves himself. He might learn to shape reality like a master artist. Things are the way they are in the world not because they are right or wrong. Naturally, there are things we can all do better for the sake of our personal happiness. We can free ourselves of our own tyrannies and give ourselves the sense of safety we've been longing for. Because we are free doesn't mean other countries will be free. It doesn't mean that other leaders will be more aware or responsible. The choice for transformation belongs to every individual. We can guide ourselves toward personal independence, but should not coerce anyone else to follow us. Our journey back to authenticity is ours alone and mustn't be used as an excuse to pressure family members or dear friends. At any time we can wake up and see the totality of what we are. We can see life as it is and accept everything we see. We can show how truth walks and talks in the world without attempting to govern others. We can offer our presence, not our rules, to demonstrate the best of what a human can be. We don't have to imagine ourselves more aggressive or more helpless than we are. In fact, we'll be happier if we don't. We'll be more able to meet daily surprises and upheavals without our old illusions. We can be grateful, whatever the disturbance. No matter the circumstances, we can live permanently in paradise. Having already recognized what we are not, we can live each moment as truth, as energy. We can perceive as life perceives, enjoying all points of view. It's up to each of us to appreciate the main character of our story as a work of fiction. It's up to each of us to create a masterpiece by being aware of what is. The voice in our heads is meant to evolve. Through the transformation of the main character, we can have a loving influence on the lives of those around us. We can make words impeccable again. Through me, we can transform our personal reality. So, please, help me to change your world.